Hey everyone, we're going to make some fondant today. It's also referred to as patisserie fondant, not to be confused with the kind of fondant that you cover cakes with. So patisserie fondant is really a syrup that we are going to boil up, we're going to cool it down, and we're going to agitate it. What happens there is we develop the crystals that give it some viscosity. So let's get started. We always start our solutions with water first. Water goes in first, and today we're using 3 ounces of water. We're also using 1 pound of sugar, which I'll sprinkle in and try to get that mixed in nicely, and 3 ounces of corn syrup. I've measured it. We're going to pour it in here, and we're going to scrape it all out so we don't lose any. It doesn't change the weight. Okay. Right. All right. Before I turn the gas on, I need to make sure that I'm moving this. I've got to move this so that the sugar touches water. If sugar doesn't touch water, you know what happens? You're going to develop some accidental crystals, and then you have to start again. The other thing before I turn this on is I need to wash down the sides of my pan. Now let's put it on. Let's put it on a nice heat. So we want to wash down the sides of the pan with a paintbrush dipped in clean water. And here's what happens. Anything that slopped off the side now goes into the solution and doesn't have a chance to cook on the sides, become crystals and fall in and create more crystals inadvertently when we don't want it to happen. So it's completely clean. We're good to go. The option for this also is you could put a lid on this, which builds condensation and washes down the sides of the pan naturally. That's okay. That's okay too. I like the more direct method. I like to see that my pan is clean and that I have no crystals on the side. So I'm going to crank this up to high speed, and I'm going to cook this to 236 degrees. We are at 236. 236 means now it goes right into the mixing bowl. I'm going to scrape this out so I don't miss any. The tablespoons there. Great. Okay, so we've let that lovely fondant syrup cool to, where are we going? To 120. It's a little warm still in some areas. It's about 120. Let's whip it. Let's paddle it. We have a liquid that we're going to turn into a solid. That's the beauty of fondant. So we've got to let this go for about 10 minutes. We want to add the peppermint oil now. We're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of peppermint oil. I'm going to measure that out carefully. 1/4 teaspoon going right in. Smells great. Smells like asparagus nips. So you can see it's starting to get white and opaque and thick. So when this is finished, this is going to go in a 9x9 square, and it's going to be very thin. Okay, I did it for 12 minutes. Now I stop the mixer because it's opaque and white and thick, and I have pre-folded a piece of parchment paper to 9x9. So took it in half, measured 9, folded, folded, folded. That'll give us the perfect template for our fondants. So what was once a liquid now became a solid. Let's get it in the paper. So we're going to scrape it out. Such a miracle. Move it a little to fill the square. Scrape off the scraper and fold. Okay. Same concept as the butter block that we've done before. We're folding it in, and we're locking it in. We'll flip it over. Our fondant is contained, and we're going to roll that into the corners. Remember, the corners are the same portion as the center. Feels pretty good. We're going to label it after 8s, Chef Raji. It is 3:23, and we're going to put it away for a day so it has a chance to set. Okay, we're back. And now we're going to cut it and dip it. And there's a really cool technique for this that I want to show you. We're going to try it 2 ways. I got this cool mold recently, so I'm going to do after 8s in this mold, and I'm also going to do freeform like you buy them in the store. So let's get going. So I'm going to unwrap my fondant. Now it's soft still, it's not hard, so it'll be delicious when you eat it, but it's harder to work with. So you've got to figure this out, go slow and gentle. I've got my tempered chocolate here. I'm going to take a nice amount of that, and I'm going to get it over here and give it a nice thin coat. I'm coating the after 8 mint because I need to be able to dip it and pick it up. And if I don't do this first, it's virtually impossible to do that. So let's get this nicely coated. Very, very thin. This is a thin layer. This is just so you're able to pick it up and dip it. Okay, go through all the edges. Thin, 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 because we still have to cut this. All right, let's flip it. Flip it over like that. Now we've got to lift over the other piece, which is very soft. Soft, and it's going to be good. It's a super thin layer of very minty cream. It's going to go in between 2 pieces of chocolate. So it's called after 8s. It's also called peppermint patties, and we can also call it junior mints, just in a different form. Right. Let's get this chocolate on. Yeah, nice and thin. Really work this. Okay, just about set. I'm going to work it a little bit. All right, it's setting. Let's clean off this. We're going to measure this 1.5 by 1.5. I have my ruler, I have my trusty wheels, and let's measure. Let's measure that down. So, oops, I can really only mark. I'm going to flip it, and we're going to mark it again. Okay, now we can clean it up with the knife. Now keep in mind it's pretty soft, and there will be leftovers. These pieces are great to put in brownies or to do some other fun thing. They can be frozen and put in something another time or snacked on later. Or there's always something to do with our little scraps. We never throw stuff away. We always repurpose. All right, I'm going to cut these pieces. The chocolate is set because it's tempered and the room is cool. So I'm going to cut all the way through, and I'm going to separate them out. Let's do the dipping first. We have the beautiful and useful dipping fork. First I'm going to separate them out. You see, it's very soft, but I have a little like a shell. They're in like a shell, which makes it easier for me to dip. All right, let's start with these. Generally, we would put them all out. Now you see how we can pick those up. Okay, cool. All right, so when we go to do this, I've covered my towel and my heating pad with plastic. Same process, it's gonna go in. I'm going to tap, tap, tap off the side and I'm gonna go down, just like that. Goes in, goes over, we're tapping, getting rid of air bubbles, and down we go. So you'll finesse it a little bit so that you don't get big feet. If you're sloppy and you just sort of put it out like that, much less interesting to eat. I think it's much more delightful when the candy looks neat and clean. And it just takes a little effort, takes a little time. So it goes down neatly. And because we put the chocolate on both sides, it's very easy for us to work. If we didn't do that, the fondant would stick to the fork and we wouldn't be able to do this. So as I've got these lovely things down, I can again use my fork to make a little pattern. I just gently touch it on and I get these beautiful lines. I'm also gonna try to do these in a mold today. We're gonna coat the mold. So what did I do to the mold? First, I hit it with the heat gun. And what this does is it removes any kind of leftover oily, leftover chocolate, colored cocoa butter, anything that would take the shine away from the chocolate. I'm going to take my tempered chocolate and fill the cavities one by one, full but not overfilled, to the top so it gets to the sides. All right. What I need to do now is to tap. Let's tap. Why are we tapping? Air bubbles are going to come out. Chocolate can seep properly into the mold. And we're going to tap everything out. I can see if I have any air bubbles. If I have air bubbles, I can get them with my finger, or I can just keep tapping. So I've got a nice wide bowl, and all the chocolate will fall back into my bowl. Okay. What's really important now is to clean the mold. So we can scrape so it's nice and clean. This is super important. If you don't scrape your mold, the chocolate doesn't want to recede and it won't come out. Try to keep your tools as clean as possible. Now, I have the mold here. I check it a little bit, see if there's any air bubbles I can get rid of. Looks good. Now my little after 8 pieces are going to go right inside. They're going to fit perfectly because we've cut them to a 1 inch. So it's really important that you're accurate in cutting here. If you are not, try to cut them so they fit in nicely. I don't want any fondant hanging over or anything hanging over that could potentially contaminate my chocolate when I scrape off. Just make sure everything's sitting inside the mold. Looking good. Right. So I'm going to pick it up and look at the angle. Nothing's sticking out. So now I can go in with my chocolate. I'm going to seal these molds by placing a small amount of chocolate on top. I actually want it to cover because I'm going to tap and I'm going to get it to sit in there and the air bubbles will come out with my tapping. Air bubbles are a big problem with chocolate because it allows oxygen in, which could mean if there was any bacteria, mold could start to grow, and the chocolate gets sour or it gets stale quickly. We don't want that. We don't know how long before these will be consumed. We hope it won't be too long, but you have to prepare and make it your best job. Okay, so I covered pretty much everything, and now we're going back to tap. I can see air bubbles coming up like this. I like the bench scraper a lot. It's a big piece of plastic. You won't damage your mold doing this. All right, so now we want to scrape. I want to press down, scrape it off. Press down, scrape it off. Clean the side of my mold as best I can. And again, press down, scrape off. us down, scrape off. Clean that mold. This mold is going to need to sit in the refrigerator for a few minutes. Why? So the chocolate can recede. Let's get a little bit more chocolate off of there. Let's keep it neat. All right, as you see, I've scraped fairly firmly, so there's not very much shadow. So I'm going to pop these in my fridge, give them 5 minutes, and we'll get them out. Okay, the after 8s have been in the fridge for about 5 minutes, and I can see that they want to recede from the bottom of the mold, so let's tap it out. When we tap this out, we go out all at once, and we go out and we come out at an angle, so watch carefully. Ready? There you go. That's what we're looking for. When the chocolate recedes beautifully, you get this gorgeous, sexy piece of chocolate. They're delicious, they're gorgeous. Oh, hey, one stayed in. So, give them a strong tap. If after this much tapping, they don't want to come out, they need to go back in the refrigerator. If they still don't want to come out into 10 minutes or so of chilling, you got a problem and you didn't temper your chocolate correctly. So try to stay on top of that. The mold should come out, it should be clean, and your chocolate should be shiny and gorgeous like these. The other option for the after 8s, as you saw, is we hand dipped. So hand dipping, different look, a very different look. Same product, they're minty, but I gotta say, the molded one is pretty good looking. Anyway, good luck with after 8 mints.